Some people just live, others awaken. You did not come into this world to occupy space. You were activated, chosen, forged in depths that few could endure. What you went through was no coincidence. No pain was wasted. What brought you down was part of what would shape you. And now the time has come to know why. From an early age, you realized you were different. The way you felt the environment, how you could spot lies in people's eyes, how you sensed an invisible calling that no one could explain. They tried to convince you that it was weakness, excessive sensitivity. But today you understand. It was discernment. A spiritual weapon you've carried since before birth. The world tried to silence your consciousness. The voices around you pushed you toward the average. But your soul always resisted. Because you weren't created to fit in. You were created to break through. Your presence unsettles because it exposes what is dormant in others. And that, chosen one, is not a burden. It's authority. That's why so many watch you without understanding. The time has come to recognize your nature, to face the responsibility that comes with being chosen. This message is not for everyone. It's for those who carry in their chest the restlessness of a greater purpose. It's time to hear what was hidden, and to awaken what has been asleep. I am George. If what you feel has no name but pulses like truth, then subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Because here, what the world tries to hide, we reveal. And what was once silence now becomes voice. Not everyone could have endured what you went through. Some would have broken, others would have gotten lost. But you kept going, and you didn't just survive, you awakened. Yes, you were tested, and maybe you thought that God had abandoned you. But what seemed like absence was the silence of someone preparing something greater. You were tested like gold in the fire. Every moment you felt misunderstood was part of the process. Every time you had to pretend to be okay while carrying the world on your shoulders was part of your refinement. You weren't being punished. You were being set apart. Because darkness tries to extinguish the brightness of those who carry light. But you were never extinguishable. Maybe you've wondered why everything feels so intense for you. Why your pain seems deeper and your challenge is greater. It's because your mission is greater too. God doesn't waste time shaping those who won't carry impact. And the way He shaped you was silent, but decisive. All along you thought you were late. You compared yourself. You blamed yourself. But what seemed like delay was preservation. While others received applause, you received scars. But every mark on you has purpose. It isn't victimhood. It's preparation. God was building roots in you so that no one could uproot what is about to bloom. You are like a seed that spent a long time buried. In darkness, without applause, without recognition. But even the seed knows that darkness is temporary. That in the right time, it breaks through the soil. And it breaks through with force. Because what grows hidden, grows strong. What sustained you in silence will soon launch you in public. You were tested in pain, so you wouldn't be corrupted by glory. Because not all brightness comes from light. There are false lights that dazzle and blind. But you've learned how to see in the dark. Now, when light comes, you won't lose yourself. You'll recognize what is true, because those who have been tested discern. This test wasn't only about faith. It was about character, patience, and vision. God needed to be sure that you wouldn't sell out easily, that you wouldn't lose yourself for applause, that you could handle the weight of purpose. And you proved that you could. You may have fallen, but you rose stronger than before. You've gone through what most avoid: silence, betrayal, isolation. But none of it was by accident. God was setting you apart, so you'd understand that not everyone can accompany you, that not everyone could handle what you carry. and that on the path of the chosen, there won't always be a crowd, but there will always be purpose. Maybe you think you're still waiting for your calling, but you're not. You're already living in it. Everything that brought you this far was the calling. It was preparation. The world looked and saw pain, but God looked and saw structure. Where there were tears, he was building authority, and where there was loss, he was planting purpose. Now you understand it wasn't bad luck. It was refinement. It wasn't abandonment. It was protection. It wasn't an ending. It was a foundation. You passed the test because even tired, you didn't give up. And heaven takes note of that kind of courage. Nothing was wasted. What looked like defeat was only the beginning of revelation. Since childhood, you noticed it. Your gaze was different. What merely bothered others pierced through you. You couldn't stand injustice. You didn't adapt easily. You felt other people's pain as if it were your own. And when you spoke about it, they said you were too intense. But what they called intensity was your spiritual sensitivity. You disconnected easily from groups, environments, and forced ideas, not because you were antisocial, but because your spirit always knew where it didn't belong. You tried to force connections, but they never worked. Something inside you said, "This is not your place." And that something was always right. Many thought you were strange, solitary, mysterious. But you were simply listening to an inner calling no one else could hear. A silent whisper saying, "You weren't born to follow, you were born to lead." And over time you learned to trust that calling. Even without understanding everything, you kept following it. You tried to fit in, tried to do what everyone else was doing. But everything felt heavy. Even what worked for others felt empty to you. Even what seemed safe to many made you feel suffocated. Because you weren't born for safety. You were born for mission. And missions have never been about comfort. They've always been about courage. And that courage is within you. Even when you doubted, even when you felt small, it was there, silent, but present. And now it's awakening. You are the one who hears what the world ignores, who feels what many couldn't bear, who sees before others do. That has always set you apart. God gave you sharp perception not to burden you, but to position you. What you see, feel, and understand isn't ordinary. It's spiritual. And many won't understand that. But they don't have to. Because you weren't called to be understood. You were called to be obedient. Your clarity unsettles those still living in the fog. You are a spiritual radar. You pick up signals before they arrive. And that's why your presence makes people uncomfortable. Because it reveals what others try to hide. That doesn't make you superior. It makes you responsible. Those who carry light must learn to walk among shadows. And you've learned that. Even without realizing it, you've already been light in many places. Your spirit is restless because it's on a mission. It's not anxiety, it's urgency. It's the vibration of one who's been activated. You're not lost. You're being guided by an invisible compass that only the chosen carry. And when you finally surrender to that calling, everything will begin to make sense. And that moment has arrived. The phase of doubt is being left behind. Now comes positioning. Clarity is coming. Confirmations too. God is raising people, creating connections, opening paths. Because those who are different need different routes. Your path was never ordinary, and your mission won't be either. Now that you already understand who you are, it's impossible to keep acting as if you didn't know. Ignoring this calling would be denying yourself. You've spent too much time shrinking to fit where you never belonged. Now, God is calling you to take the place that has always been yours. It's time to rise. You can no longer hide behind fear. It once protected you, but now it limits you. Fear was useful while you were spiritually immature, but not anymore. Now it has become a prison, and you already hold the key. Rising up is not a suggestion. It's divine direction. It's a spiritual command. There are gifts within you that haven't yet been activated because you hesitate. But God doesn't waste gifts. They will manifest when you dare to obey. The world needs what you carry, and you already know that. You know because you feel the restlessness. You know because nothing else makes sense the way it used to. You thought you needed more time, more preparation, more signs. But the time is now. The preparation was the process, and the sign has already arrived. It's the calling that burns in your spirit. You already know what to do. What are you waiting for? Permission that can only come from heaven? Permission has already been granted. You're no longer the same. Something in you has changed. You feel it. You think differently, react differently, perceive things differently. That's spiritual maturity. That's awareness. And with awareness comes responsibility. Those who see can no longer pretend to be blind. It's time to take up what you carry. Accepting your calling isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming available. God doesn't need people who are ready. He needs people who are willing. He equips while He uses. He strengthens while He sends. Don't wait for fear to disappear before moving. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's movement despite fear. And you are already ready. You are being called to be an answer, not for everyone, but for those assigned to your path. You don't need to convince anyone. You just need to be who God called you to be. Those who need it will recognize it, because there's something in you that communicates without words. Your presence carries impact. The world tried to convince you that being different was a flaw, but now you understand. It was a sign of separation. You were preserved for this moment. And even if it seemed delayed, you're still on God's time. Nothing is lost. Everything will be used. Even what you thought was wasted time. Now you're beginning to see why you went through all that. It's starting to make sense. Every tear, every silence, every wait, everything is connecting. The pieces are fitting together, and you're beginning to see the bigger picture. What once was confusion is now clarity, and that's liberating. God is aligning people, circumstances, and opportunities. Everything around you is being reorganized to position you. It's scary, but it's also exciting. Because this is the kind of alignment you can't control, only respond to. And the response is yes. Yes to the new. Yes to the unknown. Yes to the purpose. To rise up in this moment means allowing yourself to be used. It means trusting God more than your comfort zone. It means understanding that your impact will be greater than your understanding. You are becoming what you were created to be, not for fame, but for mission. The time is now. Have you noticed that the closer you get to your purpose, the more people change toward you? What once was affection turns into silence. What once was support turns into comparison. But you're not doing anything wrong. You're just shining. And yes, that bothers some people. But your light is necessary. Some have distanced themselves without an apparent reason. Others have started treating you coldly. It's not personal, it's spiritual. Your light reveals what others are trying to hide, and that scares them. You don't need to apologize for being who you are. You weren't created to walk in the shadows. You were created to be a beacon. You tried to stay quiet, tried to be discreet, tried to hide your intensity. But none of that worked. Because true light cannot be extinguished. It leaks through your eyes, your actions, your presence. Your brightness isn't in your appearance. It's in your essence. It's a reflection of God's presence within you, and that cannot be hidden. There are people who will avoid you because they feel uncomfortable around you. They can't explain it, they just feel it. It's your spiritual atmosphere. It's the truth you carry. And those who still live by appearances can't stand to be near someone who carries truth. Your light isn't arrogance. It's the result of process. You were refined through pain, formed in silence, and all of that produced brightness. But not a superficial one. It's the glow of someone with structure. It's not vanity. It's clarity. You know who you are, and those who know who they are don't need to compete. They simply walk. Your light isn't meant to be contained. It's meant to illuminate. There are environments you'll have to leave, not because you feel superior, but because you no longer fit. Your frequency has changed, and old places can't sustain new versions. You need to surround yourself with people who celebrate your light, not those who try to dim it. Your mission requires healthy environments. Understand this. Wounded people wound, healed people heal, and you are being healed. That's why you've become uncomfortable for some. Because you no longer take part in collective pain. You want healing. You seek truth. And that scares those who still feed on drama, envy, and competition. Your light will attract the right people. You can be sure of that. Those who are in tune with God will recognize you in the Spirit. You don't need to sell yourself, prove yourself, or beg. Just shine. Those who are light will come. Those who are shadow will leave. And all of that is a blessing. God is filtering your surroundings. Don't lower your frequency to fit into spaces that can no longer hold your essence. You've spent too long adjusting. Now it's time to occupy. Your light has been activated, and there's no going back. You won't be invisible anymore, not even if you try. Because the anointing you carry makes you stand out. If people leave, let them go. If cycles close, accept it. What remains will be purpose. What leaves was distraction. Your light is demanding space, and the universe is responding. Keep walking in faith, because God is positioning you to make an impact. The light that bothers some will heal many. Have you ever wondered why so many times you felt that no one understood you, that no one saw your worth? The silence, that emptiness between you and the world, was not by chance. It was purpose. God wasn't punishing you. He was training you. The chosen learn more in silence than in crowds. It was in silence that you learned to hear the voice of God. When no one applauded you, He affirmed you. When everyone forgot you, He reminded you that He never left your side. Silence was your teacher. It taught you to observe, to discern, to wait. It was in the darkness that your light began to shine. You felt invisible, but it was protection. The world wasn't ready yet for what you carry. God hid you, not to shame you, but to preserve you. Because if you had been exposed before the right time, you could have been wounded by those who don't understand anointing. Now you understand why it didn't happen earlier. Every time you felt left out, a root of maturity grew within you. And now, you are firm. You no longer need a stage to have presence. You've learned to be whole, even when no one validated you. Silence taught you to be deep, and those who are deep cannot get lost in the surface. Many didn't understand your process. They mistook your isolation for weakness. But you know that's where everything began to change. You started seeing with new eyes, feeling with a new heart, living with a new awareness. Silence shaped your identity. And a strong identity doesn't depend on external noise. It's in that silence that God reveals the secrets of heaven. That's where He whispers the strategies, the plans no one else hears. You don't need to prove anything to the world, because everything God does in secret, He Himself reveals at the right time. And when He reveals, no one can stop it. You thought you were standing still, but you were being positioned. You thought you were forgotten, but you were being refined. Silence was the cocoon where your wings formed, and now you are ready to fly. Nothing was in vain. Even your hidden tears will be used to heal others. The chosen learn to walk alone before leading multitudes. They learn to be silent before being heard. They learn to wait before running. Everything in the kingdom has its time, and you respected the process. That's your difference. You didn't skip stages. You lived each one with integrity. Now the time has come to step out of hiding. Not out of impulse, but by direction. Silence taught you discernment. Now you know where you should be, who to walk with, and what to tolerate. That's spiritual wisdom. That's the fruit of maturity. And maturity can't be bought. It's built through pain and faith. You no longer need to shout for attention. Your spirit already carries authority. Your presence already announces purpose. You no longer seek a stage. You seek impact. What you have to give doesn't come from you. It comes from God. And that's why it will be eternal, because everything born from heaven remains. Stay firm. Silence has already fulfilled its role. Now you will be seen, but not as before. Not as someone seeking recognition, but as someone who carries something greater. You will be noticed because of the light, the wisdom, and the peace that radiate from you. All of this was born in that room where only God saw you. From the beginning, the world tried to define you. Family, school, friends, culture. Everyone tried to put you in boxes. They wanted to label you based on appearance, class, or behavior. But the truth is, your identity was never external. What you are cannot be explained by human labels. Your origin is spiritual. Have you noticed you never truly fit in? That's not a flaw. It's a code. The calling on your life doesn't allow you to adapt to ordinary structures. You were born with an elevated frequency. That's why everything affected you. Environments, words, vibrations. It was your spirit reacting before your mind could understand. The pain you felt witnessing injustice, the unusual sensitivity, the discomfort with the world's hypocrisy. All of that revealed an identity that could not fit within social logic. You are spiritual. And those who are spiritual discern the invisible. They feel what hasn't been said. They perceive what lies beneath appearances. The people who tried to belittle you simply couldn't understand your essence. And everything the world can't comprehend, it tries to devalue. It was like that with the prophets. It was like that with the teachers. It's like that with you. But you no longer need to explain yourself. What you are doesn't need justification. It reveals itself in time. You are not your profession, your origin, or your appearance. All of that is surface. Your essence lies in what was breathed into you before your birth. When God designed you, He didn't use human standards. He used purpose. He wrote a spiritual mission, and it's that mission that still guides your steps today. Your difference was never a problem. It was your signature. And the more you try to fit in, the more you lose your light. The world needs your authenticity, not your adaptation. Your identity was never meant to be accepted. It was meant to be recognized. And those who are spiritual will recognize you. You've reached the point where there's no turning back to the old. The cycle of preparation has ended, and the time of manifestation begins. All the tests, all the nights when it felt like nothing was changing, they were actually preparing the moment when you would rise with authority. You're no longer in the testing phase, you're in the purpose phase. The presence you carry is not decoration, it's declaration. Every action you take now echoes beyond the moment, beyond the visible. You are entering territory where decisions are made not only by what is seen, but by what is felt, and what is. Your calling doesn't wait. It demands. It demands surrender, presence, integrity. and you're ready. The changes won't come from the outside. They'll come from within. You already are the new creation. What's being activated now is the outward expression of what already exists in your spirit. It's not about doing more. It's about revealing who you are. The work was completed at the moment of separation. Manifestation now begins. Chosen one, this is not a future promise. It's a present reality. You're not waiting to live your calling. You are living what was decreed. Every glance, every recognition you receive has its roots in ages before this life. You're here to leave a legacy, to move mountains, both internal and external, to bring light where there was shadow. Now I want to hear from you. Comment below. Which part of this incisive message touched your soul? Which revelation activated something in you? Your voice matters. Even if you walk alone at times, your testimony will strengthen others who were also chosen but haven't yet seen their reflection. Thank you for walking in faith.